Maybe the hardest thing is to find
no, I'm
a
not
server
doing
that can
anything
pull it.
anymore.
Is there some, or can some of you with experience with the server side make a draft on what's needed hardware-wise?
We have a server running with two R-Factor 2 games parallel. I don't have any experience with it, but I can ask what to use, and I can also ask if we can put one server on for the DGTL when it's necessary. It's on an external server. It's a rented server, so I think the bandwidth would be no problem there.
Yes, I also think that Chris Johansson has an option to host a server, but he's not here, so I'm not going to speak for him. But I'm going to do like note it also that maybe he can host it. He has a fiber connection too, and he does have hardware to run the server. And on top of that, he has experience running the server from running the GTR 24H practice server.
That sounds ideal, to be honest.
I have two comments about the server. One is about a requirement. I think my experience tells me that if we want to make this a success and have the series run for a long time and have people keep on taking it serious, it would be best if we have a server that's running all the time and always running on the next track we're racing on. So there's a good chance when you have a little bit of time in the evening you can join and train together with someone else. So it's not just running just before a race or something like that. I think that's important. And if we can't get that for free, then I think if we can get Martin or Chris to host something, then if we set up a possibility for people to donate to them, just like a bank transfer or something, I think most of us would be happy to donate just a small amount, just to pay for the power for a few months. At least I can say that for myself. If we can have something reliable, wouldn't hurt to pay a little bit just to cover some of the power, and if not that, even the trouble of having to spend the time to set it up and whatnot.
Yeah, and we have options for paying for stuff like that wasn't available 5 years ago. Just setting up things like small regular payments with PayPal. You could set up a service like, I think, €1 or €2 a month from everyone participating would be, I think, plenty enough to cover the different expenses. Because if you have hardware to spare, that I don't think it's fair to ask us to pay for hardware, but definitely for power usage and bandwidth usage, sure.
We tried a virtual server to rent one, and that didn't cut it. It was too slow. So when you rent a server, you have to rent the real dedicated server.
Yeah, we need someone with a closet that can stand in.
Yeah, and someone who's also willing to, if he doesn't have the knowledge about setting up the server and changing tracks, installing tracks and doing all this stuff, I think a requirement for a person hosting this would be that he or she acquired the information and skills to set up and run the server, actually changing tracks and administrating the server. Also like banning people if that's necessary and stuff like that.
Or if we set up some remote desktop thing and 2 or 3 people know how to do it. The ideal, I'd say.
That's also a possibility, but I think at least the person who hosts the server has to have these skills.
Some knowledge about it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not completely blank if it crashes or whatever.
Yeah, and
or remote desktop doesn't work.
As Alex says, an important thing about this and an important thing about running a league is having the server up. Maybe not 24 hours a day, but at least in European daytime and evenings, so that people can be social together and race practice together. That's important, at least for me also. Well, so far I've noted 2 hosting possibilities. Nothing decided yet, but this is not a meeting for deciding stuff. This is a meeting for coming up with things and trying to run through how we possibly can do it. So I think a later meeting will be sort of a decider where some of the people who volunteer for stuff here get together and decide on how they're going to do it. I think we're going to move on to the second point on the agenda, which is the rules. Stuff has been discussed among a few of the participants in the league before, and we've discussed before that we sort of like a lot of you have been participating in the 12-hour Sebring races and Spa races with the DDTL, and that has been a huge success, and I think everyone liked that, even though there are not many participants. It's it's sort of a good thing to get together around. So I think we should, instead of planning a series of shorter races, I think we should plan for fewer but longer races. So I think 8, 12 or even 24-hour race options is, with rFactor 2 you can change the drivers online, so that's of course much better for this type of racing, but at least I think that is the way to go. I would like to hear some of your opinions on how in what format and what rules should apply.
Yeah. You mean only the long races, or as a supplement to some short ones?
Well, I think we should try to concentrate on longer races. I think we can make some secondary things. I think we can go maybe for shorter fun races or fun race evenings. We can even go outside the sports car endurance thing and maybe do classic cars or something else, but at least just getting together for some fun races, and maybe not having a series as such. When we're doing this racing for fun, we could have someone having the responsibility of setting up a fun race every fortnight or something like that. But I think we should have this main series of sort of bigger.
What do you mean with big, and how? What is long for you? 12 hours? 6 hours?
I think 6 hours and longer is long for me, but that would require at least 2 people per team. But that's also what I think is more fun, is racing with your friends and you know, doing setups and having fun together, trying to get the most out of a car. I think to me that's the most fun part.
The good thing about 3 or 4 hour races, you can do it in the evening without any consequences for social life.
That's a good point.
I would say that it's a good point to make them so long that you have to have a teammate to have the social aspect. So maybe we should look at the minimum length where it's an advantage to be 2 people. So I think around 4 hours can be a good length for that reason. And then maybe doing a single 12-hour race or something.
Yes, or two 12-hour races in one season. It will be no problem. But when you do it on a monthly basis, the 12 hours, I think it's a problem for everybody to join.
Yeah, that will be a problem. That will be a problem for everybody, I think.
A lot of discussions with the wife.
Yes.
Well, you gotta train her better. Or give her a shorter lead.
Oh yeah, try it.
For 3 to 4 hours is also something you can have on a weeknight.
Yes, yes.
So that's yes, it has a lot of lot of good things going for it.
It was what was appealing to me actually was the fact that it was rFactor 2 and opening that possibility of driver changes during races. That's one of the major pros for me to join.
I think a weekday makes sense, especially if we could have the qualifying be a couple of days before. Maybe have a couple of hours qualifying on a Tuesday, for instance, and then a 3-hour race on Thursday.
That sounds good.
That way it doesn't take the whole evening.
I don't want to say that 12 hours is not a possibility. Well, for Saturday it is a possibility. But you can't do it, I think, for managing your family and thing. It's quite difficult to do it too often.
Yes.
But if it's 3 or 4 hour races that it turns out to be, will it still be with more than one driver per car?
You can do that?
3 hours is doable, but it's hard, especially with the newer style wheels. I've got a Thrustmaster wheel, and I cranked the force feedback up to full load, and I raced 12 hours at the ring with that, and I was just, well, to say it, I was broken.
we were all broken, even.
Fitness studio instead.
I can't race 4 hours straight anymore. That's just history for me. That's why I'm asking.
I don't want to race for 3 hours, even though I did it a lot. So I think even 3 hour race, I think it would be fine to have someone to change with, and with 4 hours, it's perfect. Like you can do 2 1 hour stints each or something like that.
I think you can still can do the mix from a few longer races and a few shorter races. I believe in DTL there was that mix. Sebring was 12 hours, I believe.
Yes, we used
And but that scenario is still possible. I think it was a good scenario.
Yeah, the last time we did set it up, Henrik was looking at the normal races, and then we put in the 12-hour Sebring event and the 12-hour Spa race, and that's I think it's developed into sort of a tradition, because we've been doing this the last 3 years. So those 2 12-hour races I think we should stick to, and also Sebring race was in late January, start February, and the Spa race was always in May, I think, and I think we can stick to that, sort of. And then the other races was down to the sprint races, which was just 1.5 hour. That was usually difficult tracks like city tracks,
Houston,
Houston, Long Beach, stuff like that. And then the longer races was usually more of regular stadium tracks or real race tracks. Well, as I was saying before, we used to have shorter races on city tracks. Long Beach was mentioned. We've been doing St. Petersburg years before and stuff like that for the shorter races. 1.5 hour races, and then 2 hours up to 3 hour races on normal tracks, normal race tracks. But I think the social aspect is important, so I think it's important to have a good support of people driving together and doing driver changes.
Yeah, absolutely. With as mentioned, the 4 hour races, I think that's also the way to go, to be honest. If they tend to be any longer than that, it might take up too much time, especially for weekdays. Shorter than that, you kind of take off the social aspect of it, with the possibility of doing quite well when driving a single car.
And also sort of on the same subject as race lengths, I think we should we could have a championship, but I sort of think a championship is a bad thing in the end, because what we tend to see is a lot of people showing up for the first race doing something bad, and I think people think they're ruining their chances in the championship, because along the season people just seem to fall off and stop racing. And if there's no championship and there's nothing more at stake than winning the race at hand, I think this could maybe motivate more people to show up in each race.
Agree.
That might actually work.
Yeah, I think it's worth giving it a try. Just having a series of unrelated events. Even you could even then you can even form new teams during the season and change car and whatever. Don't have to either stick with what you're doing or quit. You have the possibility to shake it up, maybe switch between LMP and GT if you want to try something different.
And that would be a nice extension to what works in the past.
So what I've noticed is 3 to 4 hour races, and we're not gonna do a championship as such. Then I've talked to people just after the GTR 24H about maybe introducing cars that would allow anti-lock brakes and traction control for new people, so that you can have a slower category in GT cars where traction control and ABS is allowed for new guys to turn up, because what usually happens is that the faster LMP cars with more downforce sort of makes people feel more comfortable, because they are easier to keep on track because of all the downforce. They are much harder to drive really fast, and if you have to have a chance in a class like that against really great racers, it's not the place to start. It feels like the place to start when you try out the cars, but it's not. So to make it easier to drive the slower GT cars, that is actually easier to drive and easier to get better results in, I think it's a way of nudging people in that direction.
Would you then make it an AM car with maybe also less possibilities to make a setup, or correct?
We could do stuff like that. It's actually a very good idea, I think.
Immediately I was against the idea of allowing those helping things, because I figure that if you cannot control the car without traction control and ABS, then you will probably make a lot of other mistakes pulling into traffic and so on. But maybe instead what we should do would be to add a third class and having something like cup cars or something, cars that are actually both slower and easier to drive or something like that.
Isn't it still like it's always been? You know, if you're good enough, you will drive faster without the aids than with them.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it shouldn't be an issue for anyone having people using aids.
Oh well, when there are wet conditions, it's doesn't be that true. ABS will help.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It should.
Well, you just need to learn there's more than two positions on the brake pedal and the speeder.
Can I introduce you to R Factor 2? I think you'll learn something soon.
Yeah, because you're damaging your tires faster than you can look.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can eat 10% tire in half a second.
Oh yeah, and in wet weather, drive in the dry line. For God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from me the incentive to introduce such a class is to make the learning curve as low as possible. It's simply because I think that joining an online league is the way to start sim racing. The way to start sim racing is not to go on by yourself, sitting at home trying to learn everything by yourself. The way to start in online racing is joining an online league and learning from guys. And if you don't have a car that's easy to start learning in, this will not happen. We will not see new drivers joining in this amazing hobby.
But I think it is just that we need a car that's easy to learn in, and not some aids on the other cars. I think that's my opinion.
Well, the idea is actually to have cars that are similar, because then you can move when you think you will feel you have control. You can move to the even faster cars or cars without aids. So if you drive say a Ferrari, you can stay in that Ferrari, but then just have it open up for more setup possibilities and more stuff. You can adjust.
Yeah, well, that should be possible with the way our Factor 2 works. Well, no different leagues. They put in, just plainly a GTM car, which is purely the same GT car as the other cars, but with less power and less setup options, really. And I would be surprised that you can change the way that aids is possible to add on those cars as well.
Yes, because what I think would be nice would be to have cars that have similar physics, so that you can use what you learn on the car with the limited options. You can use that on the car with the more advanced options.
Yeah, exactly. Which that would be quite easy to do with the way that R Factor 2 handles classes. At least I know it's possible to do.
Yes, and I've already received a warning from some of the guys in private messages about people joining our leagues who are not, or joining the league, who are not very good at driving and cause a lot of issues. So another issue to pick up in the rules here is how do we actually handle beginners? Do we set any requirements for joining the races? Stuff like has been done for the GTR 24H, where you have to race an amount of laps before you can participate in a race, or do certain lap times before you can participate in a race. Any ideas?
Previously, the first league I joined in, I had to do a test run with one of the league administrators to prove that I was capable of driving the car around the track in a safe manner.
We did the same in Race League Nordic, something similar at least, as I recall, and that worked pretty well. And keeping...
But those are closed leagues, so you can't come in without doing something like that. But I think it's very difficult when you have such amount of people, when we have them, that rotate and are not every time there. How will you cope with that? I think a lap time thing or amount of laps driven is the way to go. Because you not have every time the same people that are driving, I think.
Something automated is definitely preferable, I think. This way we don't have to have manpower available and do otherwise we'd have to do schedules and everything for this and plan it out. I would like to avoid that. There's enough scheduling and planning going into just racing.
Or maybe a 30 minutes qualifying race, something like that. A day or a few days in front.
It's not a bad idea, but that would again require server admins and everything to show up to administrate the race. And
yes, you're right.
I don't know if that is feasible. It's a good idea, but I don't know if we can make it run smoothly like that.
I think possibly after qualifying, maybe just a 10-minute race, just to kind of learn what the prototypes and GTs are doing and what lines they're taking, so we all familiarize ourselves on what they're doing. Because, for example, we had a race there where not a lot of people done the test race because it was the second round, so we're all like, oh, it'll be okay. We came to the race, everyone was taking each other out, so maybe just even where we just can practice lapping each other once just after qualifying or something short. So at least we know what lines we're all taking, because you can't do it really during practice, because usually you might have only one or two GTs online and it's not much use.
No, sure, because
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, it actually brings up it's an opinion, but it's what I've seen as far. What's dangerous is not slow cars, it's unpredictable cars.
Yes. Another question: what would help? Is it an R factor? Your ID is even if you change your name. So when you have wreckers or something, people that can't drive or don't want to listen. Can they be identified every time again?
Someone else has to. I don't know, but I'm guessing it. I'm guessing it's like it was in GTR2, where you have an online account. That's actually the identifier of a certain person.
Yeah, but you could make a new one, and then you're in again.
Then you have to pay again, right? So at least you have to buy the game again, right?
For R-Factor, I think isn't it locked to your computer or something like that? It's
not R-Factor 2. You have to actually log in to play online. So you have to, and that's the profile you buy the game with. So you have to buy the game a second time to do that.
Yeah, okay. That's then better as in GTR2. Because GTR2, you just made a new account.
Yeah, you could make a new profile.
Yes.
Just change Has it ever been an issue in the DDGL regime having wreckers and whatnot joining the league?
That's a question of opinion, I think.
Never been a huge problem, I don't think.
Well, that's always been the oddball, I know that, but, you know...
And not as far as I recall, as long as I've been driving, there haven't been any wreckers.
There was a certain Swedish guy, I remember, when I was racing.
No, but because I think it's important, because on the point of agenda is promotion, and when we want new drivers to come, you have to take into account that also maybe people are coming that don't have the intention to make a nice race.
Yeah, sure.
But I guess the consequence is smaller than it would have been if we had the championship. The fact that we don't have a championship means that it's not quite as big a consequence, and also we didn't have any huge problems with it before. But I think especially if we do the qualifying on one day, say Tuesday, and the race on Thursday, I think Shane's suggestion with doing a short race at the end of qualifying would be awesome. So maybe Tuesday we have 2 hours qualifying and then a half-hour test race, then the real race on Thursday. That way everyone has tried the start and tried with the big grid. I think that's a very good way to avoid it.
Yes.
Sure.
And also the fact that what was I gonna say? The fact that you have to be on Teamspeak at all times to participate, that would make it more or less more likely that any wrecker would join.
Right. That would also be a good rule to be a must-have is to be in TeamSpeak.
Yeah, and my idea was that I was not actually going to take part of the races. I was going to do something combined, like marshalling and streaming the race, because I don't think I have the time for practice for the next year or so. But
Oh, you're quick enough, Peter.
Yeah, sure. I think it's also quite fun to do the streaming and doing the marshalling and stuff like that, and I think it gives everyone a better experience if someone wants to take that task, and I feel I want to do it, so
yeah, cool.
Why not?
Can I just add to the qualifying day thing? I really liked your idea, Shane, about quotation marks forcing people into trying a race. Because it makes them more confident in the real race. But what I suggest you could do then is make it like in RC racing, where you have like qualifying races. So you could take something like an average of your quickest lap time in the qualifying, and then a lap time during the race, and make an average of those two. So like the race, the test race has some kind of importance, and it's not just something you can do for fun. But that way you will fail more people to participate in it.
So you're saying, like, if the qualifying was actually a race session where the quickest average lap time decides your position, starting position?
No, what I meant was you have the suggestion was, I think Alex said 2 hours of normal qualifying and then half an hour afterwards of a race. And you had 2 hours of normal qualifying where you did X lap time, and then you do half an hour race, and your quickest lap time doing that race, you have 2 lap times then from the qualifying and 1 doing the race, and you take an average of those 2.
Yeah.
Give people an incentive to participate in a test race.
I think it was a little bit too complicated, maybe.
Well, it's pretty easy to automate. Just 2 lap times, and you take an average of them. And if it's reported to a server anyway, it's pretty easy.
Oh, we don't know that it is yet, but
it's noted as an idea now, and that's what we're here for, getting ideas like that. So let's not shoot it down just because it's technically hard to do or something. I think it sounds like a good idea because it would place people at a natural spot in the race. You would penalize people that are pure hot lappers because they wouldn't be able to do good laps in a race, so they would start further back, which is more or closer to their natural position in a race result.
You could race on qualifying setup. Not to poop on the idea anymore, but
no. But I know, but the idea is doing a hot lap during the race will never be quite the same as doing it during the qualifying. And your ability to do both might make a difference.
It could be fun races too, because if you want to do a good hot lap in the race, you have to pit to to change tires to something softer, I think.
Everybody would be slow out the start just so they could get some room to get start. That would be an absolutely...
The second and third lap of the race would be really fast, and in the fourth lap, everyone runs out of fuel.
and then the winner in each class is guaranteed pole for the race, just to mix it up.
I changed my mind. I love the idea. I think we should do it. It sounds like a lot of fun.
It's growing on you, Alex. Admit
it. Something. Yeah.
And extra points for going sideways out of corners.
Preferably with the turbo engine.
Only when you're doing it quick.
I think that is about the inputs that we have. I don't know if we have more things to put in here. Everyone, of course, understands the rules of racing, so we're not going to discuss the basic rules of racing.
I had maybe one other point. I don't know if it's going to be in here, but the experience from the 24 hours this year, the rain tire question, which I didn't quite work because it don't work what you expect normally in rain. Is there something we can discuss yet now, or?
I think that's already noted. I think everything about the cars from the GTR 24H is already most of the issues are already known, but there hasn't been any time to change the cars. And I think the guys that Lasse, you can speak for the guys who made the cars,
was the air factor problem?
Cars, so
was it the tire problem or the air factor problem? That's what I didn't know about it.
What? Sorry.
Because the wet conditions didn't have any influence on cooling down the tire.
As far as we know, air factor problem, but I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know if you already made such a decision or have such knowledge, Peter, but one suggestion from me would be if we can possibly contact the organizers of GTR 24H to figure out what they're doing with the car package next year, if they're modifying the same or using one from Lutz's League or something like that. I think if it's possible to use the same or very similar package that can help motivate a lot of people to drive in these races, they could consider training and practicing during the setups and stuff like that.
Yes, and definitely since the ideas of these sort of series and races is much the same. I think it's a very good idea to have as close relationships as possible to benefit as much from that.
Also, just
But
to not
as
spend time
long
doing the
as,
same thing, maybe, in
Yeah,
the package.
as long as we're not doing an actual championship, we can change stuff on cars from race to race, which is
Yeah.
also a huge advantage towards developing cars that works as we want them to and as we would like them to.
Yeah, even change to a completely different package. If something brilliant comes out, that's just better in every way.
Yeah.
I would be fine with that.
Well, then before the qualifying.
Yeah, before the qualifying, definitely. At least 10 minutes before qualifying.
No, not 10 minutes.
10 minutes before qualifying, we changed.
I thought you learned something.
5 is enough. It's more than enough.
I think
It's
10
the
minutes
same for
before
everyone,
qualifying is the deadline also for changing the track version.
That should always be.
God.
And maybe we shouldn't announce the track or car until before 10 minutes before.
Oh man.
Or just have a pool of tracks and then draw a random track so that people can actually practice, but they have to practice on all tracks and all cars.
All tracks in the world. Yeah.
Could we make it sort of like a random car choice for the shorter races, so that no team can do like 10 rounds in each car and pick the one that's fastest at the moment, but they get a random car?
Well, it's what we want to go towards is making the cars equally quick on a longer distance. But for sure, it's just in the nature of the performance balancing. Is just making. Of course, what we would aim to do is to make all the cars equally quick in the duration of 4 hours. So that should actually, if you want to win the race, it should kill that option, because it won't be relevant.
No.
You should choose the car that you feel you have the best possibility of winning in, and if that's the same car everyone chooses, then there's something wrong with the car pack.
Yeah, of course.
Could we do all the races? I think we should stick with the varying length, but could we do all the races on the Nürburgring Nordschleife? Just a suggestion. I think it would be great.
Yeah, I'm in on that, Alex.
Great.
Well, yes, but only with 180 cars minimum.
Yes, I agree.
Obviously, and the minimum thing is Group C cars. It's just minimum.
It was a serious suggestion. We can change out the cars and the duration. I think the track is good. Why waste time racing anywhere else?
And if there's not enough human drivers, we'll just fill in AIs until it's 200 cars.
Oh yeah, that'll end well.
or just drive 10 cars each, and we can just park them after each round.
And you have to drive one lap, and then change to another car, drive one lap, and that change to another car, yeah.
And you have to pick a new car every time. That'll be like 10 hours of setuping times 10, something like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound confusing to administrate at all. It sounds like the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, that's what I say. Keep it simple and stupid.
I believe last year it was also before Christmas we had a 24-hour Nürburgring.
12
hours, and we had after every stint we had 95 seconds of suspension. It was great. Still made a lot of fun.
The fun stuff was when you got the 6 minutes penalty or something like that.
No, it didn't have that. That didn't happen.
Oh, I took one, I remember. It was from going off the track, I think.
Just one point. I thought I missed out. I don't know why it's not here. It's car pack. I think this is relevant now to discuss. And as far as I know, there's not really any other option than to pay for the UID cars. But I don't know how we handle that in combination with making track packs and stuff like that.
Very difficult one.
I think I don't have much knowledge. Or I know I don't have much knowledge. But I think that if there's some way we can make that part of this thing very simple by using something that someone has made, some kind of a track pack or something, that would be very relevant.
Yeah, but still we have to have the option of changing the physics on the cars, because from all our experience and everything we've learned so far, both from GTR 2 and what I've heard and tested out and looked at in R-Factor 2, the standard of physics in these cars is, well, to say at least it's bad, but it may be very bad.
Can it really be that there's no pack that would be useful at all? Yeah, maybe you're right, but it sounds incredible.
As long as I can find specific errors that makes the cars handle like crap, and even the packs that receive the highest review ratings, I think that's it's just not only is it just completely mind-boggling to me, but it's also kind of saying something about the level of knowledge and stuff from the people making this and the people who download and test this. So I don't think that much of these reviews are I don't think they count very much. Not in my regard.
But how difficult is it to alter the physics in R-Factor 2?
The tires are very different, so that's very difficult. The cars are very similar, so as far as that goes, it's very easy.
There is some part of it that's quite cumbersome in setting up the server and the automatic downloading and all that. Yeah. I think Chris and Lasse and them spend, if you can elaborate, Lasse, but I think they spend a lot of time figuring out the right way to do that for the GTR 24H.
I'm not the code monkey, so I don't know anything.
Oh, great.
I just put in a long ID in the packages and it worked.
Oh.
So all the magic is handled by Chris, but I know he's created a little tool that handles the download requests and somehow redirects the requests from the game to download them from his own server through an HTTP protocol, I think.
So we basically need to install that on whichever server we get.
Yeah, but I think he has tool how to...
We can twist his arm.
Yeah, and it seems to work really well, actually.
Well, I know for a fact he's not here because he didn't want to be here. He's here because he couldn't be here. So that's just... I think it's actually a possibility that he might at least help us with it or instruct someone to do it. All I know is like what I talked to Lasse also about is all I know is to look at the things in the car and figure out what sort of values does what in the car. And from all our experience with GTR 2 and also R-Factor, it's just about the same. So if you have that kind of knowledge, you have the base for editing the cars. But all this about publishing packages and doing stuff like that, I'm also just completely blank. I don't know anything about that.
Crazy difficult.
And
rocket surgery.
And also of course the most important thing about these cars is getting together some sort of tire solution for the cars that actually work to how we want them to work. And since that's the most difficult part of putting together cars in R-Factor 2, I think that's quite of a hindrance at the moment that the cars work as strange as they do. So I don't know how we come up with the solution to that. we can all agree on the tires and the modeling and how they're working is closer to reality. But some of the strange things that happens is just really, really strange. So I don't know how to solve that.
Maybe only racing the dryer until we fix it.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. It's also the dry tires. I don't know if you could, if anyone here can explain why the tires heat up to 150 or 180 degrees Celsius by driving in the grass. I would like to know that.
That's yeah, I can explain it. It's a very high how you call it
Maybe someone just dumped the contents of their Weber barbecue in the grass.
It must be the grass is growing on glowing coal.
No, now I know the word high friction grass.
It's not, because then the car would stop. If it was high friction grass, the car would stop. But it seems like the car actually just slides along and rolls even better than it does on tarmac. So that's not really an explanation.
That's the same thing which I couldn't explain myself, why the tires would heat up in the rain to 400 degrees.
Yes, the only explanation for that in real life physics is that the rain is actually boiling water.
Oh, if you're on Venus, it makes sense because of the high pressure and the very acidic atmosphere.
Yeah.
To be a little more savory here, I agree with you. That's a problem with the tire modeling, and I don't know why it works that way. But it seems that the temperature induced in the tire is not caused by the amount of energy put into the tire, but rather the amount or the distance of slip of the tire. Because obviously you wouldn't put very much energy into a tire because it would just slide on top of the grass and there would be practically no friction. But apparently it puts in a lot of energy into the tire anyway.
That's just a weird
and I agree. It's one of the biggest problems with R Factor 2 at the moment. It's the difficulty of dealing with tires, along with the fact that ISI are horribly fucking bad at putting out some documentation which is actually correct and up to date. So when you're modding the cars and changing things, you're just guessing in the dark. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But did they get it right on their own cars?
Well, you can't. Some of their. Yeah, I follow your idea, but some of their interesting own cars, like it would be relevant. For example, I thought about if you wanted to make an LMP2 car, you could take the Indy car and make that as a base and then make it heavier and less powerful, and that would put you in the right direction. But you can't, because they do licensing deals with Dallara in this case, who built the car, because they have some very precise data on this car, and hence they encrypt the file so we can't open them, we can't look we can't see what the physics looks like, because they won't tell us how Dallara builds their cars. So many of the official ISI cars are encrypted files and we can't use them for anything. Yeah, but we have the only thing we have from their side, I think, is the Skip Barber, which is like a Formula Trainer version, which is it's really slow and it's on a horrible tire. So it's not any use for us to study how the aerodynamics works and stuff like that. And the only thing we do have are some pretty bad mod cars and then the URD cars, which, to be honest, the physics in the URD cars is very rudimentary. And the cars in between them, the differences are almost purely visual and engines. That's it. The rest of the physics, the suspension, the tires, the chassis, the center of gravity, everything is exactly the same between the cars.
Yes, we also have to remember.
So there's no way to learn how to make these cars.
Yeah,
in a nice way.
It's still the same as it was in GTR 2. You can define a wheelbase and a track width in the physics files, but it all counts for nothing, because it gets the wheelbase and the track width from the 3D model. So that's actually some of the parts that make the cars feel different, even though they got the same physics, because if you do a different 3D model and place the tires at a different point, a car will of course feel different. So even though you put the same physics on them, they will feel a bit different.
They will, and they do. I think we can agree they feel different, but the differences between them are actually pretty small. That's one of the things that just to fuck up the agenda completely, I think is a problem with R-Factor 2 and why it seems that Assetto Corsa is overtaking them, because there's a truckload of admittedly shitty mod cars, but there's a lot of them coming, especially this last month. And it would be much easier to put together some interesting cars. For example, you could do like a GT4 class and make that your GTM class, because the GT4 cars, for example, the GT4 Ginetta and Assetto Corsa, that's very manageable and it's really easy to drive.
Well, you don't make it easier, do you?
No. But if we could get something, I know it's not very constructive, but if we could do something like that, I was thinking maybe I loved the GTC class back when ALMS was still running, and that's practically just one car, and it's pretty easy to make one car good instead of making 5 cars good. So, but I don't know how you feel about making a class a single car.
Fine by me.
Fine by me too, and we can also replicate the concept of putting the same physics on different 3D model cars, and then sort of make that, like everything else is the same, but just the looks of the cars are different. That's also okay with me. That's a cheap way of getting around the issue
and the
of
motor
having
sounds
more
different.
Yeah.
I never needed a million different cars. I think it would be a great time saver to have the same car.
Yeah, and if we just do like the URD cars did, like just making the engines different and making the rev bands different. That's also a manageable way of creating different performance levels, like fast cars eating more fuel and stuff like that. So the field is still balanced, but the cars perform differently.
But the problem still is to make one good physics.
Yes. And on top of at the top of that list is making tires that are challenging but still drivable and react the way that you would sort of expect them to react.
Yeah, logical behavior.
Yeah.
Is that doable?
If we have the time and people want to look into it, sure, I think it is. I cannot do it myself. I can read a lot of this stuff and I can get a good idea about doing it, but I don't think this is a job for a single person. I think this is a job for maybe 3 or 4 people to sit down and try to come to an agreement about this.
Because I can test and I can give feedback, but I have no clue about physics.
No, but the game calculates that for you. This is just putting values in for different behavior. So.
That sounds easy.
This is actually. Yeah, well, actually this is as easy as reading a manual and starting to play with the values, and then trying to figure out what happens when you do this. What happens?
Well, that's what I don't know how the person is called from Assetto Corsa, the chief. He said, "Well, we don't make the physics of the car. We just put on the right numbers."
Yeah.
And the rest, the computer does.
Yes.
Yeah. But
sounds logical.
Yeah, yes and no, because it's also a balance act to it, because most of the time, if you just put in precisely the numbers that you would like measure distances and values and thicknesses and whatever from your car and putting it into the physics engine, usually it doesn't work, fit or feel anything like it should, because though it's very advanced nowadays, the world we have in the simulator is still pretty simplified.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can
still making the rudimentary that you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, exactly. But so making the values fit to make the cars feel and drive in a realistic manner. That's the beauty of it, and that's why there's only a few guys who can really do it.
Even replicating something as simple as inertia is just incredibly different when you have to do calculus for the whole thing, and you have to do inertia calculus for every part of the suspension and tires and everything. It's just incredibly cumbersome. So that's why usually sims they shortcut this and try to do something. I think they mentioned call it pre-baked physics, which is like sort of reducing it down to simple arithmetic.
So, are we arranging some races, or are we making the best mod team in the world?
I was just going to say, anyway, are we talking about classes, or are we moving on?
No, are we going to try and run the URD cars and try to figure out something with those guys, how we get allowance to edit the cars and make our own pack of those? Because if we do, we of course have to have everyone pay for that mod.
Can I just be an asshole and ask something? If we do that, what sets us apart from the VEC guys who are already a huge organization and completely established? That's what I fear, because we will just be another alternative, and we will be small, and we will be the new guys, and that will be very hard to draw attention to, I think.
Are they using the same mod?
Yes.
Yeah. Because there are no alternatives, or are there alternatives?
They're not very strong on organizing and stability, I can tell you that for sure.
It's a playground thing.
Well, the thing that they have, I think, 64 Regitus people, and only 40 places each race.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a problem. And the way we're doing it is, I think, it's more stable and more casually organized, and I think that's what we have to go for, because the way they are doing it is sort of like a world championship for endurance racing in R Factor 2. And go ahead, let them do that. That's not what we want to be. We want to be about living out the fascination of fast sports cars.
Fun, right? Sideways.
So I don't think we have. As far as I see it, that's not a problem if we drive the same cars. Besides, we won't be, because what we want to do is live out the fascination of sports cars, and we want to change them to behave like we think sports cars behave. I'm not saying that's the real way they do behave, but I think at least we have, from all the information during the last 3 or 4 years we've collected about how LMP and GT cars drive and what the rules are and how they're set up, I think we have a world of knowledge that those guys cannot even come close to. I really think it's that way.
Because we don't have, when we don't make a league with a point system, we also set us apart in that way.
Yeah.
We have more freedom to change things that don't work. We don't have a season to worry about, I suppose.
For instance, you can say, well, I want to drive Spa with an LMP or the LMP2 or whatever, and you can drive the next time, you can drive a GT car.
Yeah. That's a big difference.
Well, as long as we're not decided about cars, and if we can't have a deal where we can change things in the cars and have it that way, it all comes down to just good plans. So if anyone knows any other car packs with endurance sports cars, I would like to hear about that, because I don't. And I think that sort of settles it then. There are no other cars.
Well, the only other cars there are, I haven't tried them myself, but I've heard some are good, some are not especially good. There's a GT3 car pack, I think. And as a concept, in real life at least, I think the GT3 cars are awesome. But the cars in the simulator is, as far as I know, not that awesome.
They are like the URD cars. It's very much the same physics on all the cars, and just the engines that are different. And then there's the problems of the GT3 cars. The tires that they use are just ridiculous. if real race tires behave like that, racing GT cars is a suicide mission.
I think that sounds interesting. Let's try it.
I got here something they call the BES mod. I don't know what it is.
That's the Blancpain Endurance Series. That's also GT3 cars. I think, as far as I know, based on the same models as the Apex GT3 mod.
But the thing is, if we have a mod pack, we have to get the allowance to change the things from the people that made it.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
What car pack did you use for GTR 24?
UAD, also the paid one.
And that's not okay for running a series on, or?
I think we could use it at least with if we can use the version from GTR 24H. I think that would be good enough. We just have to pay and be allowed to use it.
Okay.
And we still have the funny tires.
Yeah, I think the tires are funny, but maybe we can gradually improve them. Maybe we can have a patch every month if someone has the time to investigate. But I think for a first race, it would be fine for me. I wouldn't mind. I'm not.
No, I mean I paid for the UAD mod, so that's no problem. But if you want to gain more people and you have, I know for me 10 euros isn't that much, but maybe for some people it's a border or a hurdle to get on to our races.
Yeah, for sure. It will be for a lot of people.
So when we could have a free car pack.
I don't know, if you have to pay like 10 euros for a car pack, that's comparable to like say 300 euros for a wheel. So I mean, if you race, you're gonna pay.
Yeah, you're right. But for our factor, you have to pay 80 euros when you have the lifetime thing. For the 10 euros, you're right. It's not much, but it comes on top of it. And not every people running with 300 euros steering wheel. A lot of people who drive the Driving Force GT, for example, for Logitech, which is a 100 euro wheel.
Yeah, but requiring some sort of payment to get in is also a way of weeding out people that are not serious about it. So you could say that it's actually an advantage also, because if you're not willing to pay 10 euros for this, then perhaps you're not really that interested.
But it's a way of seeing it. Really.
So yeah, there's two sides to that. From the one side, it's keeping people out that might be racing, and the other side, it's keeping everyone serious about the racing. So.
Well, if it's the best we have now, why not try it and start out with it? And if we find something that's for free and that's better, then by all means change.
Yeah, I'm gonna note that, and we're gonna see what we can do about the UAD cars. And if anyone is interested in making the cars or fiddling with the physics or getting into that, I would really very much like to know, because I'm interested in helping it a bit around that issue with the cars and the physics, but I'm not really looking towards taking any responsibility for updating the cars or keeping that running. Okay, so everybody wants to race, but nobody wants to make the cars. Okay, noted.
No,
No, but that's probably the whole idea about this talk, is to see if it's manageable to do a new car pack or just like make a series and race.
Well, I think it's a beauty of the system is that as we start out, it's just necessary to have the cars and race. And if we find out some cars are crazily fast, we can modify them for the next race and balance it out.
How far is URD with the LMP cars? Are they already raceable, or?
Well, URD have released 2 cars now to the ESA. I haven't tried them yet, but they're racing them.
Because multi-class racing is something beautiful, I think.
Yes, and it's just part of the core of sports car racing. So I think that's when you say sports car racing to someone, they think multi-class racing. So I think it's important in that way.
Yeah.
But is it a bad idea to do this iterative? Say that stage 1 is that we get a server and someplace we can download the package and approval to use the package, and then do a first simple race, maybe with only GT and maybe with those 1 or 2 LMP we have, without modifying anything, just to have a race and get some input and some feedback, and then we have bought a bit of time to fix any issues and to figure out who is really interested in spending the time to do the improvements and make things better for the next time. I mean, why not start with something really simple and then take it as a iterative thing? Yeah.
Yes, and maybe try to do it in some way that can help people open up the understanding of how the physics of the cars are defined, because it actually also opens up in a big way towards doing good setups for your cars. So it's a way of learning how everything works.
Yeah, I think once the series start, then people will also. Maybe we'll find some new people who also have some knowledge and are interested in helping and trying to, help figure things out, how things work and so on.
Well, you have to be careful because last year in Road Atlanta we had a very full grid, and after that most of the people never came back. When you don't do it right, you're also going to lose the people.
Yeah. But then I think that's even a better reason to start out with something simple that we know works in some level at least. So maybe people aren't happy with the tires in the rain, but at least it was good enough to do a 24-hour race that people came from other countries and said they'll be back next year and so on.
You're fully right, but
I think it's good enough that you can have a good experience with it.
You could also say, well, we don't do rain races at the beginning till we have sorted that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, well, coming back to the Road Atlanta race of last year, I still haven't gotten any positive feedback, or to say feedback at all, from the people who sort of stopped racing after that race. What was wrong? I don't know what went wrong. I saw a lot of back markers being unpredictable, and I saw a lot of accidents coming from that. But as far as I could see towards the organization and the cars and everything, I must say, from my perspective, everything ran perfectly.
Well, I think a lot of people didn't take into account the engine wear, because I saw a lot of burning cars. It was quite a lot of fun. Well, most of part of what people did very quick few laps.
I think I was in that race, but almost only that race. I had a very good experience. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I loved the Road Atlanta race.
I just didn't have time for any of the other races.
But if you
personally found the cars were just too different. Like you compare, like with the Reka, and like you try race the quick guys in Audi, and okay, everyone was saying the cars were the same, and you had the advantage there. But then you had these little guys in the big group, and they're saying no, they're not as even as we're all told. And you say something to someone and they're like, no, they're even, and it's not going to get changed. And no one could change cars because you lose all your points. But this year, like you were saying, we will have the option now to change car, which is good, unlike last year, which is why we dropped out, because we just couldn't keep up with the quickest guys in a slower Reka. So yeah, I think that was the main problem, just not being able to change cars, and that's why we backed out of it.
Well, I know exactly that, but that's a short-term view, because the Orica was a top-speed car, and you drove a top-speed car at a twisty circuit and expected to follow the Audis, which are not very fast on the straight and have extremely high downforce. So they are perhaps a second, 1.5 second quicker per lap, even with a good setup. But that all evens out when you look at the season and look at the tracks we selected for the season, which was actually also selected to even out the differences between the cars.
Yeah, we made not to like say anything against it, because some of the cars were faster in the beginning, but it had to do with tracks and downforce and all that. So like Peter said, in the whole season, it would have evened out.
Yeah, but I think the main thing that put us off nearly was at the main event, Le Mans 24 Hours, where someone told us that the Honda was going to win. Either way, okay, it didn't win, or well, it did win, but not the thing that we all expected in a way because of what happened, but we were told that Honda is going to win either way, and after Le Mans, we didn't know if the model was tweaked at all, was the Honda slowed down or anything. We just didn't know any updates, so I think that was another off-putting reason that we were told a certain car is going to win most of the races.
Why? Who said something like that?
Nonsense.
Oh no, I wouldn't name anyone, but we took the word when we tried the car. we did find the car a bit quicker, to be honest, but by the time we tested the car and we found out it was kind of quicker, it was too late to be done or anything. So, maybe it was only a tenth quicker, but I don't know. That just kind of put us off a bit and put some guys in my team down a bit. They're like, oh, what's the point of racing a quicker car if they're all meant to be even in the way, and trying to explain that it's not going to make a huge difference to them was trying to talk back to a wall. So, but you're not going to get every car the same anyways. Even
no, and that wasn't the point. The point was not to make every car the same. The point was to, during the course of a racing season, make it so that every car had the same chance of winning the championship, and that's actually what I think we had. The thing was not going to be decided by who chose the faster car. The thing was going to be decided by the person who showed up at most races, getting the average best positions in those races, and that's actually what happened. So I'm sorry, Shane, but your arguments I can't take them seriously. And besides that, I was the admin of those cars. I had the responsibility for those cars, and I never heard that argument. So I'm sorry. I just.
That's okay.
But maybe it's a bit sidetracked now because it's all academic since we fixed the issue by not running a championship. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
Any car that's too strong, you have the the possibility of trying another car next time, and if you're still slower, then maybe it's not about the car.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's gonna change. That's gonna change the view on the whole thing.
Well, BOP is always a difficult thing, and always will be.
Yes, but we have the advantage of not having. 5 car companies trying to make the cars faster between every race.
Yes. We don't have that amount of money.
No, but I actually, as ideas for this first Star Factor 2 season was launched, it was made in a way that you could go online, find a car that you wanted to race, and send it to me. And from there we would start the balance of performance on the cars, so that the car pack would consist of cars made by the people racing them, or cars that they acquired from other mods. But I never received any cars, so I guess we have to find some sort of common package. But that was the option from the beginning.
Well, car building on its own is not something you do.
Well, you didn't have to build the car. You just had to find a car in a mod somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
And get the licenses and get everything in order that you could race that car.
Then you have to get the license from 15 different car packs, and I guess that's task in itself.
Yeah, well, it's I think
maybe it's easier to have one partner that we have the approval to.
The sort of proprietary format way that rFactor 2 has chosen to go around it and make it possible to encrypt files is what has stopped the development of cars. Otherwise, it would look like Assetto Corsa with an exploding range of cars popping up everywhere. But they didn't do that. They decided to go the way of more professional car packs, and well, that's the way it's going. But it didn't look like that at the moment that I launched this idea. But anyway, it didn't work, so history. Well then, we come to the point of tracks, and as I understand it, we have equally big problems here because there are not that many good tracks for rFactor 2 yet.
But there are plenty usable ones. I don't know how many tracks you want to run in a season, but I think it should be possible to put together like 6 or 8 perfectly fine circuits.
I think I would like to, at this point, recommend that we do something like dot voting. Maybe if we can all suggest some tracks, maybe as many as we like, or only a few. So we have a huge pile of tracks, and then after that, we each get a number of votes. For instance, 3 votes that we can place on any tracks we like.
Well, I don't think
maybe doing something like that.
Yeah, it's a good idea if we had that many tracks, but as Lasse said, it's maybe only possible to put together 8 okay quality tracks at the moment. There are not that many. Yeah.
That's not exactly what I said. But I think it would be no problem to find 8 good tracks. But, of course, the pool of tracks that you could vote from would be a little bit limited compared to some of the older sims. I think if you look in the right place, my impression is that there are quite a few circuits by now. Circuits is nowhere near as big a problem as cars is.
Yeah, okay, but from what I've heard so far and what I've seen, stuff like getting the rain to display correctly on the track and stuff like that is still an issue. So finding tracks that actually have every one of the sort of rFactor essential features working, I think is still an issue.
So is the only good feature in rFactor is that the online driver swapping? Sorry, but it seems that rFactor 2 is not ready for this yet.
Oh no, that's it has some handicaps for sure.
Yeah, but we all got handicaps.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's still the only game mature enough to do anything. Otherwise, you're on an old platform. You're looking at GTR2, rFactor, or GameStop. GameStop is pretty good, but it doesn't have a very big following. rFactor 2 and rFactor and GTR2 we've been doing for a long time. And rFactor 2 has some problems with regard to the amount of cars and circuits, but it's incredibly stable netcode-wise. It's very smooth. It's a joy to drive with other drivers because they're so smooth, and it's very easy to place your car closely to them with full confidence. And it's incredibly stable. We didn't have any problems at all with servers or restart or connections or anything like that at the 24-hour event. So that's a good thing. but it does have a few problems with the tires and the rain and a few other things. But still, it's really the only game mature enough yet. Project Cars, in my opinion, will never be there because it's too arcadey, and Assetto Corsa you can still only do, I think, 10 lap races. There's no pits. There are pit stops now, but it's not night and weather as we not necessary for this, but that's what we chose for the 24-hour event.
Yeah, of course.
And we want weather. We want the random stuff. We want to get as real as possible, at least.
And if that's what you want,
we're used to.
That's what you want. You don't have any choice yet, besides R-Factor 2. I know that the Game Stocker guys are planning on doing it, but it's not happening yet. And the Assetto Corsa guys have been talking about it, but also at the same time said that that's something they want to do far out in the future.
Yeah, and this is really a question of having something with the quality netcode that have the content that we need to run this. And like you said, Lasse, R-Factor 2 at the moment is really the only logic option beside going back to older sims, which doesn't run as well on new machinery and doesn't run as well in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I just had to ask because I don't know R-Factor. I've tried it like 2 times, so that's my limited opinion on it.
Okay. Well, I think we could just make a list of the possible tracks and open that up for people to find the tracks and find where we can download them and stuff like that, and then do like Alex says, have a vote and then select the most popular tracks. I think that's the way to go. And then the point of a racing calendar, how are we going to distribute the races? Are we going to race bi-weekly or just one race a month, or how are we going to do it?
Well, you talked about 8 races a year, so you can put up a schedule on that. Or you say, well, we start January and we plan till, for instance, till before the 24-hour race, maybe July or August.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's a year-round thing that we're gonna do in the future, we hope it will be, then maybe plan for some sort of a summer break and some sort of a break for a while before DTR 24H, because I think a lot of people have focused on that at that time. So maybe it's good in general to start the season after DTR 24H and then run it until the summer, until May or June or something.
Yeah, April, May, that sounds good.
Yeah, well, we are in a situation where the GTR 24H of this year is past, and it's just.
Oh yeah, so we get a late start this year. But,
yeah, but. And I don't think we should try to start something up in December now. So I think we should maybe, or at least that's my opinion of it, start with a race in January this year, and then try to work our way around that. And I also think it would be a bad idea to start out with a 12-hour Sebring race in January for the first race. So I think that should be moved into February, and then have some sort of maybe a race or 2 before that. And yeah.
Yeah, I would say start with a couple of 4-hour races and then go for a long one.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a good idea when you do a Sebring that you do Sebring around the same time when the real Sebring a week in front or something like that. People can get warm for the real race itself as well.
Yeah, that's also an idea. So it would be mid-March, isn't it?
Yep.
And that would give us time to put a race in in January, or maybe a race in the first week of January, and then a race in the end of January. Put one in the middle of February, and then.
I don't know if the track exists, but in January you have the first race of the season is Dubai, I believe, 24 hours.
Daytona.
Daytona is in front. Oh, sorry. Yep. When you have every month a marker when you can do the same thing. I mean, you don't have to do 24 hours, but you can do a 4-hour race. What version of it?
There is a track for Dubai, which is really good.
Or
Bahrain.
Nice.
Bahrain is also a very good track for R Factor 2.
Great. That also sort of locks down the tracks if we want to do this. Follow real races. That
it could be. It isn't a must do, but it.
No, but if we decide to do that, that also limits down the amount of work we have to do with planning and selecting tracks. If those tracks are actually out there, it just makes stuff easier, I think.
Yeah. Right.
But is there anyone here who wants to be responsible for the selection of tracks and planning of the calendar if we decide that something like every 3 weeks or monthly is the preferred frequency of races?
Yeah, I'll sign up for that, Peter. I've sort of done it before, so I can put a bit of time into that.
Great. I only have one thing to note about that. It's that the tracks are diverse in that type of tracks, so that we get some city tracks and big fast tracks too.
Yeah. Of course, I'm not gonna like select the tracks or find the tracks, but I would like to make the calendar for it and mix it up.
Yeah, and of course run a vote to get the most popular tracks.
Yeah.
If you could, yeah, thanks. Sorry, I was just writing. Next issue here is the big issue, which is gonna, tip over the scale if this is gonna be a success or not, which is promotion. So obviously this. Since I'm working at an advertising agency, this is sort of my professional area. So of course I know a lot about that, and I'll try to be as involved as I can. But having said that, everything that we make around this, like making little introduction videos and stuff like that, is just of a huge importance, because that is what people see. So everyone who can contribute in that direction is helping a lot. I think this part of it should also include making like a poster for every race or something like that, with the cars on and getting things looking good. If we can get someone to take up that gauntlet and do that would be
I'll take it up. Yeah, I do, because I'm studying it at the moment, so it's a bit more experience for me to put on. So yeah, I do it if no one minds.
Cool.
That would be great.
Cool. It is kind of a time-consuming area.
maybe
definitely.
the rest of us can help. If maybe we can have some kind of some place, a Google Drive, email address, someplace we can dump screenshots or something, so that after every race, if you experience something really cool or something, you can dump a screenshot that goes to the PR department or something, just to make it easier to make the poster, because then you have some good input maybe.
That would be cool.
I can set up all those sort of information exchange hubs like that, and publish all these.
Then once you have the template for a poster, maybe it's then easy for the next one to just pick a new cool screenshot and change the date and venue and so on. So maybe once you get going, then it's maybe not too hard.
Well, that's at least how I usually do it, and then the differences between each poster is mostly playing with filters and stuff like that. But that's also something, if that's what you're aiming to do as a professional, that's a really good way of learning and trying to play with stuff. So it's perfect for everyone, I think.
Question: will the races be broadcasted on like simrace.tv or just YouTube?
I think with regard to Simrace TV, I think that we have maybe lost our opportunity to get in there before we prove ourselves as a serious series. So I'm sad to say I don't think that's an option. So in the beginning, for the first race at least, it's only going to be my YouTube account, and I'm going to handle it for the first race. So let's see where it goes after that.
What about Twitch? I'm thinking exposure.
Yes, well, I just have a routine of live streaming to YouTube, and it's very, very easy and not very time consuming for me. I have all the things, everything for it set up.
Does it matter if it's one or the other? Isn't it just a matter of can you see it live or not?
I was only saying it, because you get a lot of exposure on Twitch.
Okay, more so than YouTube, or?
I don't know, because I've never used YouTube, so it's just an idea. It's for me, it doesn't matter.
That's what I tell my boss as well.
If we make a rule, say we make a rule that to participate, every team has to post a link on Facebook that there's a stream up, and post the link for the stream. I think we're going to get all the attention
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and the search algorithm for YouTube is far better than anything else. So, because it's Google managed, so it would make perfect sense to put it up there. Because if you Google something, then it will show.
Yes, and it will show the live events too. So if you just mention some of the popular, sim racing terms, like it's R Factor 2 and it's whatever track and stuff like that. If every time that you start a live event, it's just named, sensibly towards search, I think we're going to get for a 4-hour race. I think we're going to get all the exposure we can.
Yeah, far more than on a dedicated sim race site, I think.
I was just thinking, okay, we have the YouTube channel, but is there any chance that we could set up a new one, not just use your personal one, just to make the series look more professional in a way? And as you see someone just using their own personal account, you think it's, I don't know, it's just my thinking. I wouldn't think it's very professional in a way. It seems like, no one could broadcast it, so they're just getting someone in the league to do it themselves in a way. It's just, I'd rather see it nearly more professional in a way, but if it's too much hassle, then it doesn't matter in a way.
I'm probably gonna stream regardless, from when I'm driving, but that's just gonna be to Twitch and no commentary or anything, just plain stream.
Why don't we make a professional sounding channel called ESPN Sports Europe or something like that? We make up and stream
have
that.
a dedicated. I already have a dedicated YouTube account for DDTL. There's just nothing on it so far, but I have a dedicated YouTube account that I'm going to use for this.
Maybe you have to look in what you can do graphically.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
2 seconds. What you can do is set up more cameras in a live session, so you can actually towards the same account on YouTube, different people can stream at the same time, and the viewer can switch between those streams and select. You can name, like, if you're streaming from somebody, some team is streaming from their own car, the user can actually select that camera and see on board from that car.
That's cool.
So the viewer can switch car, actually.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
There's an unlimited number of channels that you can stream during the same an unlimited number of cameras that you can stream to from the same. So
unlimited, you said.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe then what we really need is is actually, because that's a huge motivator to actually share the link to the stream, because people can follow your car, not just a car. So I think what we have maybe a task here to write a short guide or something of how we actually stream to this channel.
Yeah.
What software you need, how do you do, and so on.
Yeah, I already have that on my to-do list. I'm sorry, it's not in here, but I have that on my to-do list. And the easy thing is, if everyone can use this open screen broadcaster software that I'm using.
I'm using it as well. So.
Yeah, the only thing I have to do is save the profile, and people can download the profile, and then it works. They just have to change the YouTube code that I will provide for each camera. So the way you do it is, if we can just through the Facebook group order a camera for an event, you'll receive a key, and then you can.
And it can stream in good quality.
That's definitely the way to go. That sounds awesome.
Well, the nice thing is, it's not the event is not in a certain quality. The camera is selected at a quality. So if, say, you have if you have an onboard webcam, you want to send images of the driver driving the car, like looking into the face of the driver, and you can only run that at 640p or something like that. That's totally an option.
Oh, that's cool. No speaking while on the camera.
Yeah, maybe there are also a bit more possibilities to make graphically the YouTube channel more interesting. Have you looked into that, Peter?
Yeah. I think if Shane's making the posters, we should do something about sharing some graphics and doing something there. But yeah, of course, it's going to be set up with the proper logos and proper everything. It's going to have its own. It's a complete Google profile, so it has its own Google Plus page and stuff like that. Everything is there, so it's pretty optimized. It's just not on air yet.
Can you do live chat as well? Because that's also very interesting. People like to do that.
Yeah, I think the whole system can even be tied together with Hangouts, so you could even do commentary, live chat from your mobile phones and everything that can run Google Hangouts.
Are there any limits if you say you want to add a stream to that one to the quality you can upload on a live stream on YouTube?
It's ranges of quality, so you have to select it. But the maximum is I don't remember. I'm gonna look that
1080?
Up. It's 1080. No, it's 4K is the maximum, and the bitrate is insane. I think. Just 2 seconds. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, it's fine. It's just
Okay, it's okay. It'll have to do.
It's at least I think during the last half a year, I think YouTube has come back at trying to steal this the whole gaming streaming genre. I think they've realized that there's a huge market in there, and I think that YouTube is right now launching all the options to do pretty much the best game streaming you can.
Yes, by the sound of it, it sounds like it's only own hardware and bandwidth that sets the limits.
Yeah, it is.
So that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think the only limit on YouTube right now is that you have to have like 1,000 followers, something like that.
No, there is no. You can start a brand new. You can start a brand new account and start broadcasting away.
Okay, that's pretty new because I looked into it a couple of months ago, I think.
Okay, I think maybe to unlock the 4K streaming, I think maybe you have to have something like 1,000 followers, because what I have open at the moment is 3 megabytes to 6 megabytes per second, 1080p.
So if you want to stream in 4K full quality, that's gonna pull some serious teeth out on any system.
Yeah.
And only like 0.5% of your audience can watch it.
Yeah.
And no one plays the game at 4K. Maybe 1 in a million.
It would be awesome.
780, 1080p, that's all and fine streaming.
I'll stream it if you pay for the equipment.
Mine can handle both the game and the streaming, I think.
That's great stuff. We have a few more points on the agenda, right? So maybe we should...
Yeah, the last things here around this, I think the most important thing is sort of management of the whole league thing. I'm thinking here of managing complaints and stuff like that, you know, getting if we get feedback and stuff like that, who's going to be responsible for working that into the league. Of course, a lot of things around the whole officialing part about this is going to be completely irrelevant, since we're going to do we're not going to do a season, so race by race penalties is not really a thing.
Do we even need much in that department?
I'm not sure we do.
Aren't we just joining a race and having fun, and and then next month we join the next race. And if someone on purpose runs everyone off, we'll kick ban them. But other than that.
Well, I think still we have to respect that some people might do a lot of preparation for these races, even though it's not a championship. Some people might do a lot of preparation, and it's always very annoying to have that preparation ruined by someone ramming you and then not getting a penalty for it. So I think we have to look into some sort of penalty system at least.
But if you are streaming everything and you are not racing and so on, then maybe just go by you're the boss, and if someone sees something bad, they can make a complaint, and you have the authority to give a warning. And if people don't improve, you can kick ban them.
Are there server tools that can do something, force a stop and go or something like that?
As far as I understand it, Les, there's an option to do stop and goes inside the game, right?
Yes, there is. Sorry, I was saying yes, but my microphone was off. Yes, there is. You can do stop and goes. You can do time penalties, drive-through. There's a lot of options, and it's very easy.
pretty neat.
But then if we are doing that during the race, then we have to have a judge that's on call and stuff like that. Isn't that?
Peter is.
We want to do that. Isn't that?
Yeah, I think I can manage doing that at the same time. You know, the concentrated periods of racing is only in the beginning at the start of the race, and then mostly around the pit stops. And I think I can manage combining, you know, doing something like a race control and commenting at the same time. And I think this could be even be beneficial to the broadcast. That my job is to always look around on all the cars and see what's happening. So as towards the broadcast, I'm not going to be focused on any of the cars, because my job is to look at all the cars, and that I think even the broadcast could benefit from that.
I'm fine. I wish John Nielsen was doing that during the F1.
So,
I'm not into full gaming rig yet, so I can probably manage to help you out, Peter, with the commentary and look over some of the cars as well on the stream, because I'm not in any way having a full rig yet. So.
No, and we're not like we were in GTR 2, limited to a small amount of open available slots. You can join as a spectator.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then free roam around. So it's actually very possible for more than one person to marshal races. And
Yeah,
I think the quality of the experience for drivers will be all the better for it.
Yeah, and I'm having a good upload speed on my internet, so I can probably do like a stream as well, and we can commentate together or something like that.
That would be a cool thing to do. The only thing I have towards it is we should perhaps should perhaps narrow down, you know, like a specific range of punishments, or maybe only one sort of, if the standard punishment for doing something is like a drive-through, and then it's always a drive-through. I think that's the best we can do.
Exactly, yeah.
Because then we narrow it down to a question: is, has this person done something that we don't want to see happen again? Oh yes, this driver has done that. Okay, then it's a drive-through. So it's very easy, and it's very easy to understand for drivers too.
Yeah, and it doesn't take like in Formula One, you can almost guarantee that the penalty is not being given in the same race. So it's not that beneficial to give a penalty at all.
No, and we can stay away from the issue of having to detail everything in print, because the punishments for this thing will be sort of
instant.
They'll go towards punishing things that we don't want to see happen again. So
exactly.
that's actually I even think that is the rule we should go by, and just have that single rule. If what you get punished for is things we don't want to see happen again.
Yeah, you can do your own reflections on that.
Yeah. Of course, we can tell people what they did wrong, but still, I think the only rule should be that you will get punished if you do things we don't want to see happen again.
just punishment at random, that's also fine.
Yeah, random punishments, yeah.
Punished by popularity.
For this race, Alex will be starting with 3 drive-throughs.
and my PayPal account is...
Yes.
Yeah, and you can find my account number at the bottom of the chat, so if you want to make donations...
Great.
Sorry guys, I'm just writing in the agenda here. Then management sort of falls out completely because there is no management of points and stuff like that. There's only the calendar to be decided before the series can start, and that's all the management we have. And Nikolai has already volunteered to be the responsible person for that. Sign-ups is that an issue? Or at least it is an issue if we have more people signing up than we can handle on a server. We've been there before, and I think it doesn't look like it's going to happen now, but I think we should decide on what do we do when that happens.
We have the qualifying thing, have we?
Yeah, but still, there's a 2-hour qualifying, and if we are at a limit where there can only be 30 cars on the server, if those are the same 30 cars for the entire 2 hours, then there might be 30 guys waiting in line to get on that server to qualify.
No, but honestly, when we have a server, I think most server will be capable of doing 2 sessions at the same time if it's necessary.
And then we have to run locked temperature, weather conditions on those 2. So yeah, we can do that. I think then the only sign-up we need is to use Facebook events as a sort of a pointer towards how many people is going to show up.
Yeah, that would be the easiest.
Maybe we need for every race, we need like an official marshal, and maybe it'll be you most of the time, Peter, or whatever. But maybe we need someone who is responsible for, if we have those 2 servers and so on, for figuring out the actual qualifying order before the race and starting and putting everyone in the correct order before the race starts and so on. Qualifying is a couple of days before, then someone will need to log on to a remote desktop on the server and put everyone in the correct order. Maybe only half the people who qualified join the race, and some extra people will join surely. So maybe there needs to be a name on that for every race, and it could possibly be you for a lot of races, but maybe on some it can't be you, so then maybe it should be scheduled as someone else. Doesn't have to be the same every time. Just as long as one person's name is on it for every race, I think that's best.
Yeah, well, we can do it like my idea was of doing this. There's a person responsible for that job being done. It doesn't mean that that's the person who does the job, but it means that that's the person who has to maybe find other people to do it or make the arrangement for getting it done. So when I say that Nikolai has the responsibility for creating the calendar now, it doesn't mean that Nikolai alone has to do this. He can, of course, have everyone help or do it the way he wants to do it. But we agreed on a vote for tracks, and then that he has the responsibility of putting together the calendar. That's just
Yeah, exactly.
So at the moment, it's my responsibility to look towards having a marshal at every race, and of course, some trusted person I know who can do the task. It could also be that person, but yeah. The point is, don't think that because you sign up for something, you have to have the complete skill set to do that task. You just have to have contacts or in any way know some people that make it possible to complete this task in due time.
Yeah, seek the help to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is not rocket science.
No, I only have one thing. I don't know, Lasse. Have you been in contact with the URD people?
In regard to what?
Cars.
Oh, cars. No, I don't know what you mean. Yes, we have been talking to them, but also we have an agreement that we've paid him some money, and that's the last time we spoke to him. Besides talking a bit about when he expects the LMP cars to come out.
Okay, but you have an agreement that you bought the cars with access for everyone in the GTR 24H. So if we sort of set up a system where maybe you have some kind of low entrance fee to pay to enter the GTL, and then you get our modified version of the cars, would you regard that as a possible way to do it?
I
relay the money to URD.
I don't know. I can't tell you that because you have to make a deal with LS of URD. But having said that, he pretty easy to negotiate with, and I'm sure you can come up with some kind of agreement. And I'm sure that, or I know that we would be interested in having some kind of convergence car pack. Because having the cars used and tested along the season is purely a good thing for the 24-hour event.
Yes. So what this comes down to is sort of the best way of working together with the GTR 24H crew, since we're using the same cars, and since I don't know if you're part of the group anymore, I don't know who's part of the group, so anyway.
Can I
sorry, I think I don't think that's the problem. I think so your hurdle, so to speak, is making a deal with LS or URD. But I know we would be, if you're running the same cars, I'm pretty sure we would be interested.
Yeah.
And yes, I am.
Then the easiest way to do it is to have everyone in the GTL buy the URD cars on their own. And when they can send us a receipt for the cars, we can send back passwords for the server. This of course also means,
like that, yes.
Yeah, this of course also means that we have, because we are using a proprietary car pack, this means that we have to password protect our servers, sadly.
I'll have to drop the meeting now because I have a Skype call in 10 minutes, so...
Yeah, well, the serious part of this is over anyway.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is just down to discussing details. Yeah.
But yeah, sounds very interesting. My desire to race has certainly been spiked again, so hope to see you on track or here another time.
Likewise.
Okay.
See ya.
See you.
Bye.
And I think I'm gonna stop the recording here to sort of finalize the official part of the meeting being over.